It has taken a few years, but the Headhunter is finally gonna change. Starting with the cartoon update, which is gonna drop like, I don't know, in a week or so. The Headhunter will no longer win with the village when the target dies by any other means than voting, but instead it wins with the Evil Alliance. And this is a massive change. I will explain you why in this video, and I'm also going to say what is really good about this change, apart from the role itself, because there has been a process around this role as well. The change means that if your target dies because the werewolves killed it, for example, you get to help the werewolves and the solo killer to win instead of becoming a villager, and you will get Evil Alliance XP. I really hope, by the way, that the Evil Alliance XP is going to be a little bit higher than a werewolf, for example, getting XP when a solo killer wins, because as Headhunter you are just much more likely to end up in this situation. It should be stimulated by the game that Headhunters actually work with the evils, because if people don't really notice change, they might still actually try to win with the village, even though it doesn't really help them at all. So, about this change then, I, along with a lot of people, are a big fan of this change. We have been fighting for this for years, like pretty much since the voting rule was introduced. I think that's like 2019 or 2020. And when roll cards were also introduced, this change became even more requested because people got the choice between picking Headhunter and Fool, for example. And the RNG factor of the random voting roll and the fact that people get to choose the roles means that balancing around these roles is much harder to do, because you don't know beforehand whether this is going to be a Headhunter or a Fool game. Or nowadays, I guess, our Anarchist game exists too. But Anarchist pretty much acts like Fool in the sense that it's pretty evil-sided. And you may ask why we wanted this change. Well, the answer is the Headhunter has always been very village-sided, as when your target dies, you basically become a villager, and it's so easy to do it because you can just ask for the gunner to shoot your target, for example, and sometimes they do that if you are like very honest day one. And a Fool or an Anarchist can just not do that. If they're gonna claim their role, they're just like, okay, well, you are Fool or you are Werewolf or Solo. You are not gonna help us. Well, you could, but that's not gonna be in your interest, so why would we trust a Fool claim, right? Or an Anarchist especially, it would be even worse, because Anarchist is always able to win, even if they are exposed. They're like, yeah, they're always a threat if people don't get lynched or if there's mislynches. So it's pretty easy as a Headhunter to become a villager. Just say your target, day one, and someone's gonna shoot the target. Also, what makes this annoying is that the Headhunter knows the target is a villager. So you can just say, this person is a villager because it's my target. So that's extra info for the village. And when the Headhunter is already kind of playing with the village, they are just going to work with the village. So it's extra vote power, it's extra brain power for the village too, from the get-go. Whereas the Fool, on the other hand, is pretty much always evil. Yeah, there's like sometimes that case in which someone exposes the Fool and then the Fool cannot win anymore, and then it decides, oh, I'm gonna side with the village. Like that can happen. And I have a tendency to do that as well, but only if I'm exposed by a wolf pacifist. Like if there's werewolves like exposing me as Fool, I have some sort of inner feeling of revenge or spite, I guess, and I'm just going to work against the werewolves. Like I'm always working against whoever reveals me. Like if you screw my chances, I will screw your chances. Basically, that's how I work. So yeah, that's the difference between how evil / village-sided these roles are. And when you add to that people can just pick these roles from the role screen, and I would say, of course, you have like every role tree has some differences in balance between a base one and advanced role, but there's like two notorious ones here that are like pretty much always game deciding together, and with a few other changes, but these ones are definitely the most important ones. It's namely the voting role and the third party role. Because the voting role, it's literally like, well, if you're going to pick Headhunter, you're going to have an extra villager, essentially, sometimes. And yeah, sometimes you see Headhunters doing, like, actually going for a Headhunter win, which is like respect it. I mean, well, that's actually what you're supposed to do, but like at this point, you almost have to respect that as an evil-sided player, or just someone who enjoys a little bit of a challenge. And a fool, on the other hand, is just like if someone picks fool, yeah, you know, it's going to be a hard time for the village, no matter what. They have to check you, or they have to check every other evil. They cannot deduce it from the way you chat. Well, it's possible, but it's hard. Harder than with a headhunter, for sure. And if they don't know about you, and they don't know a certain evil is not exposed, but they just have a suspicion like, okay, well, you act in such a weird way, you are definitely evil, but we don't know if you're a fool or werewolf, for example, then yeah, they cannot like actually vote them. Yeah, if the time pressure is there, they have to vote them because yeah, what else are you gonna do? But that's the good thing about the fool. People, the villagers are just in doubt more of the time. Whereas with Headhunter, it's just basically an extra villager. You can, as the player who picks that, there's one player out of 16 who decides like that change. And the other sort of course that we are talking about here that actually has a big impact too on how it changes the game is the third party role. So Cursed and Cupid, like if someone, well, Instigator Cupid, I don't know, that's really, really situational because Cupid is such an RNG role. But I would say especially the Cursed tree, the Werewolf fan or Lurker on the one hand and the Grave Robber on the other hand, that can be such a difference, you know. Grave Robber can usually become a villager and sometimes even a very strong village. Sometimes you just have a second Vigilante, for example. That's crazy, but it does work like that. And sometimes you get a second Fool, which is fun, but or not, depending on how you look at it. But yeah, that's the thing with the Cursed Cupid and the Fool tree. Whoever is in control of that just gets a major say in how the balance of the game is going to be. And it's really good if we can reduce that difference by having all the voting rolls, for example, evil-sided. And that's what happens right here. So I'm really happy about that for that reason. But I want to look at something different too, because I have to give the developers some props for this change. Somewhere early in January, right after the update, the recent update that we're playing in right now still, they did post a large QOL, quality of life changes list in the vote channel in the wolvesville Discord. And there were like a few sections, and one of those sections was the role section. So like role changes, and people basically wanted to see how much interest is there in changing this role or this mechanic of this role. And the Headhunter one, that was one of the more popular ones. So the developers decided, okay, this change definitely has some eyes on it. People want to see this change. But yeah, this poll, of course, is like, okay, they're just like trying to see the interest, but they don't know if people actually agree or not. Because people who disagree with the change cannot they can vote other things to make it like less of a priority, let's say. But they cannot like directly say nope to this change. And there are people who are fans of Village Headhunter, weirdly enough. But yeah, maybe if you are one, you can explain why. But I will also look at the arguments that they give a bit later on. But the developers then decided at the very end of January to make a poll in the wolvesville vote channel once again. And this was literally about like what should happen to the Headhunter when the target dies and it's not by lynching. Well, win with the village or win with Evil Alliance. And it was a neck-and-neck race for a long time, or a relatively long time. But at some point, there was quite a big difference still, I would say, between pro-village and pro-Evil Alliance. Pro-village actually got the win in terms of the poll. They are the majority, apparently, in this poll. But nonetheless, now that we've seen these spoilers basically in the vote channel, like in the last days, Friday, Saturday, and I guess today is the final spoiler when you see this video. It's weird because they literally threw this massive curveball right here by saying that Headhunter is still going to change, even though the community did not want that. And obviously I voted for Evil Alliance, but I'm surprised they still did it because the developers have a tendency to the people in the community get to decide how the balance of this game is. Yeah, you can suggest stuff Sometimes it gets neglected or just rejected. Sometimes it gets posted in the feedback devs channel and then people get to up or down vote. I don't know exactly how much change comes from there, but I think it's a pretty large amount actually of changes that come from this channel. Usually the Village Headhunter criticism doesn't really get far into that, but now it actually did get there, and we actually got the change. So I don't know what made the devs decide to do this, even with that majority for Village Headhunter. But I have two theories. First of all, I think that there is a chance that a portion of the voters who are like pro-Village are boosters. So someone suggested this in my Discord server, I think. They said they're probably boosters because apparently boosters benefit from Village Headhunter. I assume that's the case. I'm not sure how much the Headhunter plays there, but I know that there are like requirements for XP games in custom games, and I believe that the voting role could be one of those requirements. I'm not really sure, but there's definitely requirements around having so many evils and so many villagers and stuff. Headhunter is probably the easiest voting role to work with in these lobbies. So I assume that the booster community is a big fan of Village Headhunters for that reason. Like, I don't know if you're like if boosters, well, it depends, I guess, but if boosters are players who just only do booster games, or if there's like also boosters who play both mainline game modes and also boost lobbies. Like, I don't know where people have their priorities when they are also boosting, but I'm surprised, like, that could be a portion of the votes pro Village Headhunter. They were like, okay, well, this is going to definitely change our way of playing the game if the Headhunters is going to change like this. Like, someone in their setup will not get any more XP because Village wins. That's the rule of that lobby, essentially.
Bruh.
So that's like something I considered, like that might be a thing that they keep in mind, and there might have been alts as well, but that could also have been the case for the Pro-Evil Alliance case. The more likely theory is that the developers only really look for big differences. Like, okay, if they have their poll and they clearly see like, okay, I don't know, 75% of the community doesn't like this change or likes this change, then they say, like, okay, that is such a big degree that we are going to cancel or actually go for this change. But with this one, it's still like, well, I think, I don't know how it would potentially be, but it would be like 60% pro Village Headhunter and 40% pro Evil Alliance Headhunter. I don't know how exactly that would be, but 60-40, that was not a big difference. And then you only have like 700 votes or so. And there's also people who just play the game and are not in the Discord server. There's a lot of people in the Discord server active as well there who are not like in the vote channel active. So there's all different types of people, and this is only a certain portion of the community anyways. But yeah, they might also just look at like, okay, well, the difference is not that big that we should completely base our decision based off this poll. And then they just looked at the arguments perhaps, because to be quite frank, whenever most balance changes get suggested in the feedback forums, especially for this Headhunter change, I don't really see anyone arguing against a change for the Headhunter till you see like votes. Then if you see the polls, then suddenly they appeared. That's just, it's kind of how it goes. It seems like they have like no strong argument, that they cannot like make us aware of something that we don't know or that we don't really care about enough, maybe. Or they are like ashamed of their argument because their argument is literally boost lobbies, and then we can easily say like, yeah, boost lobbies, that's like not the main game. We don't care about boosting, and that's not how you're supposed to play the game anyways. Maybe it's actually even that you could be banned for boosting. I'm not sure if that is something they do, but if you expose yourself as a booster, then that you are taking a risk for that. Not sure how that actually goes. But maybe they just really did look at the arguments and were like, okay, well, Pro-Evil Alliance Headhunter just has better arguments, more arguments, and a wide support in terms of the arguments. And then there's like the Pro-Village Headhunter, which has no strong arguments, essentially. Or the argument is it's more fun to play as a village headhunter because I want to become a village. I want to have an easy win. I respect the developers for taking this change, even though in the poll we did lose. So yeah, I'm so happy about that. So thank you devs for still going for this change. I hope this is the beginning of more balance changes that really need to come to the game. But has a certain portion of the community against it, because that's what this Headhunter also has. In particular, I think the Night Watchman and Astronomer are two roles that could do with a change. Now, if you want to see more balance change ideas from me, then check out this video next. It covered 20 ideas of mine. I won't be live for this next week, by the way. I'm not sure about next week either, because some serious bad stuff is going on right now in my life. And I try to focus on upcoming 2 videos. See you later, and don't be a traitor. Goodbye.